When the Raptors lost in the first round in back-to-back years, despite being favored to win, they didn't waver, they bounced back. When they kept losing to LeBron over and over again, they didn't give up and made a trade that would change their franchise forever, sending away their beloved DeMar DeRozan for the Claw. It was a trade met with criticism. While everyone believed Kawhi was the superior player, he just spent a whole season sitting out on the Spurs due to a controversial injury. And DeRozan absolutely cherished Toronto, and everything he meant to the city will never be forgotten. But the trade had to be done. It led to their greatest season ever. When Kawhi suddenly left the team, the Raptors were still completely okay. Their record improved even further as more players stepped up and they embraced an even bigger role. The Raptors have been a resilient franchise. They've always found a way to take the next step, to make that jump to even greater heights. Despite all the roster changes, the franchise has been consistently great and consistently improving. Except for now. Yeah, they're not doing well. Currently on the outside of the playoffs looking in. This Raptors team is clearly not a contender by any stretch, and they fell off hard. Even with some players having a breakout year, it's not enough. What's been going on? How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, let's take a look at the Toronto Raptors and how their time as a perennial playoff team is coming to an end. But before we start, this video is sponsored by HelloFresh. What is it? It's a meal kit delivery service that offers so many recipes to choose from. There's healthier options, breakfast plans, the selection changes every week. It saves you time from grocery shopping, as HelloFresh delivers directly to your doorstep, and the ingredients are all portioned nicely, so there's less prep and less wasted food. I got the combined meat and veggies package, and you can see it here. If you want to change it up, you can add extra portions to your meal kits depending on your lifestyle. HelloFresh sent me this package and I tried it out and made a quick meal for myself. So, I eat tacos a lot. Well, obviously, because I live in Texas. And I absolutely love sausage tacos, but I don't make tacos at home very often. I cooked it up, took around like less than 15 minutes, and made some slaw to put on top too. It doesn't look the same as the ones from the taco truck near my house, but it still tastes pretty damn good. There's a whole lot of other options too. If you're interested, go to HelloFresh.com and use my code ANDYHOOPS12 to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. And yes, you heard that right, 12 free meals. I feel like I'm back at square one. I couldn't tell you who's impacting the game positively and who isn't. It could be any of them. It really could. That was a quote said by Nick Nurse in early March, and it's a bad sign. This deep into the season, and yet he still doesn't have a solid, stable rotation, because the coaching staff hasn't figured out what works and what doesn't. Outside of the starting lineup, the Raptors' entire bench has been a mystery all season long. Some nights, the 13th guy on the team performs better than the first guy off the bench. Sometimes they play well going small, other times they get absolutely stomped and can't guard anybody at the rim. However, just from looking purely from a roster standpoint, what exactly changed compared to previous years? I'd say the biggest one by far has been the front court. Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol were crucial to the fluidity of the team's offense. Ibaka's ability to space the floor opened up the offense and allowed their wing players more breathing room to make a play. Gasol was one of their best passers, and his court vision provided such a different look for opposing defenses. You could run the offense entirely through the high post if you have Gasol, because he can hit cutters so well and so accurately. Most importantly, both of them anchored the team's defense. It's no surprise after they left, the Raptors went from the second best defense in the league to 20th. Teams used to shoot 43% against the Raptors and just 33% from three. Now, teams are shooting 46% against them and nearly 38% from three. They also had the highest rate of contesting shots before, but now they're 18th in contesting shots. This indicates a severe lack of hustling. Perhaps the biggest gap has been their pick-and-roll defense, something that Gasol and Ibaka were known for doing very well. According to the NBA stats dashboard, they're now below average in defending both the pick-and-roll ball handler and the roll man. Opponents have been killing them in this department. Everything about their defense suffered a drastic drop-off. And it wasn't just because they lost Kawhi. Even after losing Kawhi, they were fine. But after losing Ibaka and Gasol, it was over. Like, just look at this defense.
Out here, Okoro for three. Grabs his own rebound, works towards Siakam. Back it goes to Sexton. He'll launch. He'll drain it.
Oladipo working with Tucker, cut off by Lowry. Here's John Wall, three-point shot. They get the switch. Tucker three, good.
Sadiq Bey turns and fires. He fills it up. Paul Watson Jr. has checked in for Toronto. The Pistons.
Jolt spinning. Good job cutting him off. O'Neal kicks it. Here's Joe Ingles and the veteran.
You'd never see this kind of pitiful defense in previous years. You might see it occasionally, but if they let something like this happen, coach calls a timeout immediately. Now, it's a regular occurrence. So, I mentioned earlier that many of their players are having career seasons. It's true. Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, guys who've been on the team for years are now scoring more than they've ever had before. But then, there's Pascal Siakam. It's been widely known he's been struggling throughout the year. Mentally, he's just not there. The Raptors have remained in Tampa, Florida to play their home games, and Siakam really misses his friends and family back in Toronto. Not only that, but internally, he's had some run-ins with his coach, and Nurse has routinely got frustrated with him not following the game plan. In fact, in early January, there was a game where he got benched in the fourth quarter, and watched his team from the sidelines mount an incredible comeback. Nick Nurse was asked about why was he benched, to which he responded, it was an internal matter, suggesting that there's some issues going on between Siakam and the coaching staff, and maybe the rest of the team too. This was confirmed to be the case. It reached the climax after a loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, when Siakam reportedly had something to say to Nick Nurse. Shams reported this. The incident occurred while the Raptors were leaving the floor following an 11-point loss on Sunday night against the Cavaliers. Stemming from the frustration amid what is now a 9-game losing streak, Siakam directed a verbal exchange that included several choice words toward Nurse. He's the only player in the starting lineup with a negative net rating, which is surprising. In the past, he's always been a positive. Perhaps he isn't meant to be the superstar caliber player we thought he'd become. Perhaps the expectations were too high, and his stock got overvalued, especially playing alongside Kawhi. The year he won Most Improved Player falsely made us believe he could continue this incredible growth. Ever since he took over as the team's primary scorer, his efficiency across the board has plummeted. In his early days, he made massive jumps from season to season, but now he hit a wall. It's at the point where fans are questioning if he really should have gotten that massive contract a few years ago. Also, Siakam struggled playing in the bubble at Disney World, and now he's struggling to play in Tampa. Maybe he just hates Florida. Of course, the Raptors have also had their fair share of problems outside of basketball. Nick Nurse and the rest of the coaching staff missed a few weeks due to the NBA's health protocol, COVID-related issues. Throughout the season, this has been a problem. We've seen guys like Siakam, Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, and numerous other Raptors all miss a sizable number of games because of COVID-related problems. Whether it's contact tracing or following the protocol, it coincided with a massive losing streak in March. They even had to postpone a game because they didn't have enough players available who could suit up to play. Even though the players are completely healthy from an injury standpoint, they had to follow the protocol during practices. So you end up having players being forced to sit out and not being able to scrim with their teammates. It's been common for other teams too, but it hit the Raptors exceptionally hard. They've been holding practices where the players literally don't even go near each other. I mean, how can you even practice like that? It's more like an individual shoot-around. This severely hampered any progress or adjustments they've tried to make. So if you're wondering what's taking them so long to fix all of their on-court issues, this is why. The players are starting to lose it, including Coach Nurse. who got fined $50,000 for shouting profanities at the refs and throwing his mask into the stands. The changing of the personnel, the lack of chemistry, and the lack of meaningful practices have been the primary factors for their failures. But it's more than that. They were known as being very gritty and rallied around this sense of identity. A hard-working, hounding defensive-minded team that loved to share the ball and play like a family. These aspects represent Toronto very well, and it was a team that fans could relate to and cheer for. They've lost that identity. Kyle Lowry has been the team's leader for a long time, and he's been noticing a change in the players' attitudes and demeanors compared to previous years. We just need to get a little bit grittier, get a little bit tougher and a little bit nastier, and have a little bit of swagger to us. Right now, we have no swagger to us, we have nothing. Teams are looking at us like, alright, let's go eat. That's not a good feeling. The Raptors need to play like they're the ones who are desperate, not their opponents. There were also a few reporters that observed the Raptors' lackadaisical play, and some assumptions were made that the players care less about winning and more about their individual salaries. A handful of players are about to be free agents within the next year or so, and they're more concerned with showing off what they can do, as opposed to the greater team success. Perhaps that's why the guys on the bench are fighting for minutes, especially since most of them are fairly young and are looking for a big payday. Fred VanVleet was asked if the players don't care as much about winning as before. He responded, "When things are going great, it's great. When they're going bad, it hurts. So I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this, and I care. So this stuff keeps me up at night, so it's tough. It's tough to be in this position, but we got a long way to go." The future of this team is uncertain. While there's been a handful of players who show promise and made noticeable improvements, it hasn't been enough to offset their losses. I mean, most of their players, they're not bad at all, they're good, but they're not good enough to be untouchable. If the chance arises for them to make a quality trade, they'll do it. The days of contending for the title are over, and they also don't have the star power to compete with other teams of the conference. But hey, I don't know, the NBA landscape changes quickly. If they make a few good trades, a good acquisition here and there, they'll be right back in the playoff mix. It might not be completely over, but they're holding on by a thread. Anyway, that's all folks. Thank you everyone so much for watching. What's your opinion on the Raptors? Do you believe they're on their last legs? Or will they return back to being contenders in the near future with this same core of players? Or do they have to shake it up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.